Welcome into the Turn Fantasy Golf Podcast. My name is Andrew Putters, and Happy New Year, first of all. We've got 2020 in the rearview mirror, and it's time to talk about 2021. The Turn is very excited to bring on its first guest. That is Chad from the Preferred Lines Podcast and the Fantasy Golf Pod to join Joe Nicely and myself to break down several golfers for the 2021 season. As always, our podcast is brought to you by Rotoballer.com, the number one spot to go, especially for golf, but all your daily fantasy needs. That, again, is Rotoballer.com. If you like what you hear, hit the subscribe, share with your friends, give us a great review. Stay tuned. We got a lot for you.
Of all the games I used to play in my younger, wilder days, the game of clubs and tees had never crossed my mind. But after some discussion with my closest, dearest friends, I decided that I'd give it one good try.
Welcome in, Joe, Chad, the Turn Fantasy Golf Pod. Preview of the 2021 season. Here we go. So, Chad, how you doing?
Andrew.
Look like it's cold up there.
Can you see my breath? I'm out in the garage. If you're not familiar with the Fantasy Golf Pod, we are real people. We don't have real studios. We're just in our garages and having fun, cracking beers. I cracked mine a little bit ago because I was thirsty, so I don't have that sound. But hey, we're here. 2021.
We're down here. Joe and I down here in the hot South. I'm drinking some Mountain Valley spring water.
Okay.
Joe, what
Colorado spring water.
Colorado spring water. There you go.
Beautiful.
I'm kind of a wuss. I've got to go to work tonight, so that's probably the main reason. So it is what it is, right? You got to pay them bills. We don't really make a living shooting these podcasts, but anyway, let's get right into it. 2021. We've taken a month off almost. I'm ready to get into it. We're going to hit you all up with a top 10 golfers we'd like to see, and probably talk more about the people that aren't in the top 10. So, who wants to go first? Who's in your all's 10 spot? Who do you think? You want to go first, Joe? You're the regional expert.
Yeah, man. I blatantly cheated right off the bat. At number 10, I've just got the young guns. I kind of grouped all those guys together because there's so many good young players. And maybe it's not fair to them, but I always toss Morikawa, Wolf, and Hovland kind of together in the same bucket. Obviously, they're each great in their own right, but those guys are kind of going to be linked for a long time, it feels like, because they did come in together. So I would throw those three in there for sure. We saw Morikawa win a major, Wolf contend for majors, Hovland win 2 times. And then you got guys like Sung Jae, Scotty Scheffler, Cameron Champ, Joaquin Neiman. Would definitely throw those guys in there. So, yeah, number 10, I'm kind of using the old cheat code. It's my only one for the night, but I'm going with the young guns at number 10.
That is cheating. That was not in the rules whenever we sent it out. I put Matt Wolf in there at 10 just because I feel like even that we're continuing with this COVID-19 pandemic, we're going to see the guys that play the best will be the guys that don't have families. That's kind of like what we saw last year for the most part. They played more tournaments. They were able to get out and hit more balls. Right before we came on this podcast, I had 2 or 3 kids trying to get on a video, so I know how hard it is to keep the family at bay. That's just my take on it. So that's why I got Matty Wolf at 10. Where you at on that, Chad? On that 10?
Okay, so to give context to this, I didn't choose any of the young guns inside of my top 10. So they're just all 3 right outside of it. So that's interesting that you chose all 3 at your 10th spot, Mr. Nicely. But for me, Patrick Cantlay made it 10th on my list. Truly, this is really hard and picking hairs, but the silent killer, he made the list for me. He's shown, actually, the reason why I didn't take the young guns is because Cantlay's shown it over the last couple of years. He's been top 10 in the world over 2 years in a row. Other reasons why I didn't choose a guy like Webb Simpson, he didn't make my top 10 is because of the driving distance for him, whereas Cantlay, he has more of it. You saw Cantlay start slow and kind of weak out of the COVID break. I don't think we're going to get that same golfer into 2021. I believe that he'll come out firing. He's going to play a lot more, I think, because it's a Ryder Cup year. We got to talk about that. The motivation for a Ryder Cup. A lot of these guys, go into a season like 2021 Ryder Cup motivated. And I know Cantlay wants to be up there. So I got Cantlay 10th.
I like it. He didn't make my top 10, mainly just because of the. I feel like like you said, he was slow last year. We don't really know why. I mean, we thought there's several tournaments that matched up for him, and he just did a failure to show up.
He had that surgery. I don't know if it was on his throat or neck or whatever. And then he kind of got derailed from that. And then he got shot out. Like, he was like hesitant because he did admit he wasn't sure of the protocols. He was going to let some people be guinea pigs and let them try it out first. So then he kind of was behind the 8 ball the whole season. And then I think he had a press, and then he did. He finally put it all together. He won. If we forget, I don't remember exactly whatever the tournament was he won. But that was right before the Masters, and then he kind of let us all down a little bit at the Masters. So, hey, this is a top 10 player in the world, someone that is motivated, someone that has a little bit more grit than these young guys. Maybe he has his stuff together more than them. So that's why he made my list over those guys.
I like it.
Yeah, Cantlay's a really interesting player. I feel like you could make the argument. I think Andrew said you don't have him in your top 10, right, Andrew?
No, not at all.
Yeah, Chad's got him at 10, and I got him at 9. And I think you could really make the argument talent-wise. His game translating to all the major championship venues, I think you could make the argument that he's higher on the list. But he's such an interesting player because you can also slot him in that 9-10, just outside the top 10 range, because he did disappoint last year. We did expect big things from him in 2020. Like Chad was saying, he had some nasal issues, I think a sinus type of surgery. And then it feels like the COVID thing really threw him for a loop. I think he's a highly regimented guy. Had some really serious back issues years ago, and I think he kind of structures his schedule around that. Highly regimented schedule from week to week while he's at the tournament. So, maybe if he can get back to normal, we'll see the guy we saw at the end of the year. But yeah, I got Cantlay at 9.
Yeah, to go right, stay with the young guys. Right off, number 9, I've got Sun J.M. And that is strictly just because, like I said, with my theory on the 10th pick is that he is going to play in almost every tournament. And we don't. I mean, as far as we know, he don't have any family. But I mean, pre-COVID, man, he was popping out top 3 finishes, top 5 finishes, top 10 finishes. So that's why I got Sanjay at number 9. I think he slowed down there after pandemic and everything. But who you have at number 9, Chad?
Well, I'm glad you said that about Sungjae. I couldn't fit him into my top 10. He didn't even make my top. Well, I guess he's 15th for me. Crazy enough. My 9th overall in my list of top 10 is Tony Finau, actually. I decided to put top 5 Tony into my top 10 ahead of Cantlay, ahead of the trio of Morikawa, Wolf, and Hovland, simply because this is one of these guys that's poised to get a W. We know statistically he's supposed to have won based on how he has performed. He's the most due for a win every week. He's set up well, typically for the course, regardless of the course. Something about his putter, if he can find it. Now, we've been saying this about Tony for years, and this might be one of the last times we can say it because he's getting too old. This is like the Ricky Fowler thing. They're not young anymore. So there's no more excuses. But we've heard about Tony's ability to Bryson the driver, and we haven't seen it ultimately in competition. So I'm thinking if he unleashes his Bryson, gets his backswing going a little bit further back, gets the hips going, swings that thing, and just smashes a couple 340s on the carry, then if he gets the putter going, we got a couple wins maybe this year. He finally gets off that hump and maybe contends in a major like he always does. So I got Tony at 9th.
I like it. I got him at 8th. Main reason is there's so many hard golf courses and so many bomber friendly golf courses that his game just fits well on. I mean, a lot of golf courses he's going to play are par 68s to him. And that's just him doing his normal thing. So which should include almost all of the major championship tracks that we play. That's why I got him at number 8. You got Tony in your top 10? I know Joe's got Tony in his top 10. No person would rather
You
than
know, I'm going to shock you. I do not have Tony in there.
what?
And I'm like the biggest Tony truther there is. But the guy just doesn't win, man. And it's not a reflection on his. All three of us are always focused on DFS, so it's not a reflection on how great of a DFS play he is week in and week out. But I don't have him in the top 10. He's just going to have to show me that he can win. I think he's a great player, very consistent, but the guys that are in my top 10 are guys that I feel like bring a lot of tournament winning upside to the table. So Tony's on in there. I guess that's a big shocker.
Yeah, with 0 wins, he will be on the Ryder Cup team, guaranteed, because he's a point getter, he's a birdie maker.
Yeah, and deserves to be there. Rightly so. He's a tremendous player, but it's just so frustrating when you pull for him for so long, kind of like I have, and you just never see the wins come through.
Fair enough. So then who did you take at 8 or at 9 or whoever? Where are you at? You're at 8 now.
We're on 8. We're on 8.
We're on 8. I got Webb at 8. I got Webb at 8. He could probably be higher or probably be just outside the top 10, but he's so consistent. And unlike Tony, he has been winning tournaments recently, won 2 times this past year in 2020, once before the break and once after the break. I don't love his upside in majors because of his lack of length, but just for consistency and a guy that you feel like can knock out a couple of kind of regular tour stop wins a year, I'm throwing Webb in there at 8.
That's funny you have Webb at number 8 because this is almost like this is scripted because I got him at number 7.
Yeah.
Going against what I said in the first 3 picks, guys. This is kind of where I get into my vet stage of picking players. Webb, man, God, he had a great year, and I just don't see it taking a step back. That's all I can say about him. He's got the golf courses that he plays very well. Year in, year out, he plays very well there. I know Chad said you said he didn't make your top 10, right? So he's just solid player, and I mean, seems like every time I picked him, he was right there. Maybe not winning, but top 10 anyway. So solid golfer. So I've got Webb Simpson at number 7.
Okay. Well, no, he didn't make it. It's just I think he's peaked, a little bit maybe with his play. Just running a little too hot for me over the last 18 months or so. So he's got to cool off at some point. Webb does. But for me, I took number 8, Patrick Reed. He's my guy. He's hella underrated. You probably didn't have him on your list because nobody likes him. That's if his name was like Bobby Anderson or Jason Dustin or Justin or one of the names, then you wouldn't care about him so much. Maybe you'd think what I think about him and his play is what I like about him. His game is flawless. He loves the big moment. Ryder Cup year, Mr. America or Captain America. At each tournament, the guy's going to show up. He's going to play hard. He always, if one part of his game is failing him that week, another part picks him up. So he has a little bit of that Xander well-rounded game where he's not great at anything, but he's not bad at anything. So Patrick Reed made my list. He's number 8.
Where you at, Joe? Where you at on your list?
Yeah, Reed's tough to argue with. I didn't throw him on there. Not really because I dislike him. Not a huge fan of his, but I am a big fan of his game, Chad. I agree with you. Just super solid, grinder, maybe the best short game on tour. I can never peg the guy. I feel like you don't know what you're getting from week to week with Reed, which is why I kept him out. Next guy on my list is Brooks Koepka, and he could maybe be higher on the list. But man, we're really kind of focused on 4 tournaments a year with him. You almost feel like, outside of maybe some WGCs or some tournaments leading up to the majors, you pretty much feel like you can throw the rest of the schedule out with Brooks. But that being said, you feel like he's going to contend. If he's healthy, he's going to contend in maybe all 4 of the majors. I mean, he hadn't been healthy all year, and he was right in the mix at the PGA through 3 rounds. Posted a T7 at the Masters, and it was a bad year. So you know, you got to feel like he's gonna come out fired up, gonna come out hungry, hopefully healthy. So that's why I got Brooks up there.
I did not have Patrick Reed in my top 10. It had nothing to do with his game. I've tried to figure out a way to get him in all the time because he's a birdie machine. I think his birdie average might be in top 5, top 3 on tour. Nor did I have Brooks Koepka, and you know, fair to say that he even had top 10s and top 5s and a near win. Um, but and it was a bad year. But I feel like he's taken on the Playboy role pretty well on the social media. That's just what I see. And he likes maybe like that character. I don't know. Same thing with Fowler. Fowler has figured out the Arnold Palmer's method of making money outside the golf course. And I mean, the one thing that he does not Fowler's not in my top 10 either, not even anywhere close, but he did have a few words there with the media at the last event, talk about how frustrated he is with his game, and maybe that puts a little fire in his belly. I don't know if y'all saw this, but during the whatever 9 weeks of COVID, where everybody, the whole country was shut down, he said it was the first time since he was 9 years old he spent more than 3 days at home at a time, and that was when he was his newly married wife. So that means something. He's been on the road since he was 10 years old, basically, golf or BMX or whatever. So, saying all that to say this, my number 6, John Rahm. I'm in the talent stage of my list now. John Rahm, number 6. Um, Talent only. We saw some streaks last year where he was dominant. He can be tough to like at times, though. He was a new guy at one time, so I know Joe Nicely loves him. Where you at on John Rahm?
I've got Rahm higher. I've got Rahm 4, and I think you could make the argument he's 3.
I got him 3.
Do you? Yeah, I think he's right there in that 3-4 range. The guy's just super talented, man. We forget how young he is. He's only 26 years old. Won every year he's been on tour full time. Won 2 big time tournaments last year. Plays the Masters really well, and kind of specifically looking at 2021, man. He's been a beast at Torrey Pines. He's won there, got a couple additional top 5s there, and that's where the U.S. Open is this year. So he's going to get 2 shots at Torrey Pines, both in the Farmers and the U.S. Open. Plays well at the Masters. Like I said, you feel like he can compete in the Open Championship, which you can't say for a lot of guys. So yeah, man, Rahm's up there at 4 for me.
Well, Andrew, I don't know if you skipped somebody, but I don't know if we're on to 6 yet, because I still have 7 to tell you about, and it's a hot take.
Let's go.
So the 7th guy for me on my list is Dustin Johnson.
Oh my God.
Ooh.
Number 1 player in the world is the 6th best player on tour. I like it.
You guys, listen to this. Okay, hear me out. This is kind of a little crazy take because he could easily fit in the top 3, and you probably all have him there, and he's consistent. But I think maybe 2020 was DJ's peak at being Mr. Consistent, winning on tour every year, blah blah blah, runner up at every major, and finally gets the Masters, yada yada. Comes into 2021 with maybe the attitude, I did it, we've done it, I'm good, and I'm gonna ride out. Because, what the hell? What else do you have to do? You can't ever be Tiger. You're just DJ. So, does he really care? So, maybe that was it. Maybe he's going to mail it in. So, hey, we've seen this with other golfers. It's kind of like that. Rory did it. He was great, and then he's bad. Some people come in and they go away. And will he have a little letdown year? I don't know. Maybe. So, I'm picking him 7th because the guys 6'5", 4, 3, 2, 1 are pretty awesome. So DJ, although the best today, could he rest on his laurels? Could he go home to his girl and chill? Maybe. So 7th, DJ.
I think it's fair to say that Joe and I always talk about post-win DJ you want to stay away from for about a month. So is this post-year DJ? However,
yeah, this could be the ultra.
However, JV DJ is still a top 5 player on tour. That's
Well, we'll see because I got names that are ahead of him. It includes number 6 for me too is Xander. So I took Xander 6. I don't know if he made your list. Joe Nicely and I, we did this draft last night, and it came to me at the 7th pick, and Xander was there, and I've regretted it since. I picked Patrick Reed, but I could have probably gotten Patrick Reed on the wraparound or even later. But like, I don't know why I didn't take Xander. Xander's the man. He's awesome. He's got a flawless game. We've seen him get there almost. So maybe he's coming in this year a little more motivated that he needs to get to over it. Same kind of way as Patrick Reed, where he scrambles and he saves himself, and every once in a while he'll have these amazing 2 shots in a row and have an eagle opportunity from 2 feet away. And if he doesn't mess the putt up, then I don't know, is a solid play. And I think he's poised to even get better going in. I think he's going to cruise into 2021 angry with his top 2s all day and get a win. So I'm going to bet him early and often in 2021, and I got him 6th overall on my list.
Yeah, I got Xander at 6 as well. And a lot of things that Chad said, he's just so consistent. And I can't remember a major that I've not rostered Xander on DraftKings. He's just been that good in the majors, and that kind of falls over to difficult courses. But the flip side of that coin is, on a week-to-week basis, we see a lot of these tracks out there now that are just pure birdie fests. And I don't know that Xander really loves those courses, those type of events. Obviously, there's some that he's going to play. He doesn't play a ton, but I don't know that he loves those birdie fests. So it's almost like you're focusing on the majors with Xander, maybe some WGCs, and tougher golf courses. But yeah, I agree, Chad. He's an excellent player and just so consistent. And I got him at 6 as well.
Well, I got Xander at 4, and I think Xander. I mean, it's like he makes hard golf courses birdie fest at times. I mean, the guy can go low on any golf course. He seems to always be there at the end of the tour championship. Uh, I mean, he plays good on hard golf courses. He plays good on easy golf courses. There's not really, like you said, there's not a dent in his game that I can find. Probably uh, probably the best all around player. I would put Sung J M probably at number 2 on that, as far as every aspect of his game being rated pretty high. So I love Xander. I got him number 4 though, a little higher than you all. So who do y'all got in then number 5?
I got Rory at 5. He's probably a top 2 talent. But man, if anybody was hurt by the COVID layoff thing, it was Rory. I mean, it's a guy that hadn't finished outside the top 5 in like 6 months leading up to the Players, when the PGA Tour halted play there, and he was just never the same, man. Be it the layoff, be it no fans out there, whatever it may be. His wife had their first kid, so obviously that was a huge distraction. But Rory was just never the same coming back. But that said, I feel like he does have the talent to go on like a DJ run that we saw this year. Rory's one of the few guys that I feel like has that ability to just go on a massive win heater. Can knock out a couple majors, knock out a couple big tournaments. We've seen him do it in the past. So that's why he's ranked that high for me. I mean, you could maybe argue bump him up to 4 maybe.
I've got him.
Yeah.
I got Rory at 4. Give me Rory. Give me good Rory. We've seen good Rory. Oh, my goodness. He's one of the best golfers on earth. And we've seen bad Rory. Kind of was bad this past year. And for many reasons, we don't know. He's got some excuses on that. Fair or not, he hasn't been that bad as bad Rory. He's still playing.
Bad Rory's not terribly bad. I think bad Rory is just so frustrating to us because we know how good Rory can be.
And you have to pay 10-3 to get that bad Rory. And you're like,
exactly.
Oh. But for me, number 5 on the list, my top 5 included Brooks Koepka. Brooks last year ended this time number 1 in the world, and injuries are a bitch. Plus, we know health is very important in golf and timing. So be healthy at the right time. And I think Brooks is leading into 2021. This might have been great for Brooks to get a little chance to rehab, to go into 2021 without the mentality like, I don't care about these lesser tournaments. He's not going to have those thoughts anymore, maybe. And then he got a little bit of a media whiplash back when he talked crap about DJ, and then DJ went on the run. So maybe he's a little bit motivated by that. We're looking at like a Magic Johnson, Larry Bird scenario here, or something along the lines where these guys want to one up each other. He got his Masters jacket. You think Brooks doesn't want to get his Masters jacket? We're thinking Brooks is dead. I don't know. Everybody's burying Brooks, but I've got him in the top 5. So I think we're good. Is he better than DJ? Is he better than Xander? Maybe. Yeah, I think he can definitely be. So I got him 5th.
He's fun to watch when he's playing well. There's several tournaments this year he made look. I think Travelers it was. He made a couple 63s look like it was a walk in the park. So, but like I said, he's not in my top 10 at all. I would love for it. The game's better when he is. He's a big personality. Good for golf whenever he is. My number 5 is also Rory. Just like with DJ, JV Rory is still a top 10 in the world. We still think probably Rory's A game is still probably better than anybody's A game out there. So if we can find that in some courses, I mean, he's won what? He won the U.S. Open by 15 shots. Won down in South Carolina at the PGA by a ton of shots. He's won the Tour Championship. So maybe we can get A game Rory. It'd be good. Plus Ryder Cup year as well. If we get fans back on the course, that'll definitely help him. I've already said my 4, Xander. Where's everybody on their 4?
I got Rory at 4.
Rory at 4. Who you got number 4, Joe?
I got Rahm at 4. I got Rahm at 4. We're kind of hitting that area where I think we're in agreement with a lot of these guys. Maybe just a little bit different order.
Right. But I got Rahm at 3. In terms of credit, respect, he gets some of the least amongst these guys. Where I think that does make him angry, and that's why he's motivated. I was gonna also ask you guys, do you remember when when the media was saying like he can never win, he gets too angry and he has his blow ups all the time? We haven't heard a lot about his attitude or his temper lately.
Yeah, I think he's made a conscious effort to kind of either change or control it better.
Or got married.
Yeah. And I think
that helps control your anger when you get married.
Or it gets worse for me. But no, do you think that if having a child, is his child due soon? I think he announced it, so I think it's got to be around like 20 weeks. I don't know. I didn't look it up, but he's gonna have a baby at some point this spring. Is that gonna ruin him?
Baby swag.
Or is it gonna be helpful?
I don't know, man. I feel like there's some of these narratives, the off the course stuff that, I mean, yeah, we can speculate on it, but we don't really know. And it's always like we look back in hindsight, like if Rahm comes out and has kind of an off year, we're gonna say, yeah, he had a baby, man.
Exactly.
It's understandable. Or if he comes out and has a good year, he's like, oh, we had a baby. It changed his outlook. He's playing great now. So I think it's easy to kind of look back in hindsight at all that stuff. So I don't give a ton of weight to that. What I do give a ton of weight to is how much his short game's improved this year. I made a little note. Last year, Rahm was 78th in strokes gained around the green, and in 2020 he was 24th. So that's the type of thing that I'm more concerned about, and I feel like Rahm's improving his game. We think of him as kind of big, strong bomber guy, but he's really developing touch around the green, and he's got an excellent chance to win a major this year.
So then where do you guys have Bryson?
I got Bryson at 3. Where you got him, Andrew?
I watched the draft last night, and it kind of changed my opinions on it. I texted Joe about an hour before the draft. He drew the number 3 pill, and I said, Joe, is there any way at all that JT or DJ drops to 3? He said, 0 chance. 0 chance.
Yeah. So then you're like, should I take Bryson? Am I taking Bryson?
And I said, well, here's the deal with Bryson. He plays almost every week.
Mm-hmm.
He fits he gets a checkbox in that the doesn't have a family, right? And
True.
I mean, he's hungry. He's hungry to prove everybody wrong. He's hungry to grow different ways that we haven't even thought about.
He's literally hungry.
Yeah, literally hungry. He's drinking 9 chocolate milks a day. But I mean, and yeah, he might get on my nerves, but it's pretty impressive what he did this past year, and we're gonna see more of that. He did, I, I want to see him at Torrey Pines hitting it 380 off the tee on a few of those par fives, and you know, I just I I mean, like Pebble Beach. I mean, is they going? We there was courses that we didn't think would be an advantage, like up at Jack's place, and it was being an advantage. We didn't think that he would hit one 411 yards on 18 around the corner. We didn't think that was possible, but he did. So I've got Bryson number two.
Yeah, so I picked him number 2 as well. I think we like seeing him, the attention he gets, he likes getting, and it's fun it to watch. And we've seen a little bit. I mean, we've seen a lot actually of him, but I don't think it's even begun. I think this is the beginning of seeing Bryson because I think this is going to be his season. He's figured out a bunch. Is he solving golf? I don't know. Maybe, probably, because he has no friends. Like he has no life. All he does is practice as hard as he just practices swinging as hard as he can, like so that it helps his 9 iron too. So his 9 iron goes 190 yards. Like everything helps swinging as hard as you can and doing that over and over. So I'm all in on Bryson. The only guy I have better than Bryson in the entire PGA Tour is Justin Thomas. So
Yeah, I think I had Bryson at 3. Um, I wouldn't argue with having him at 2 or 4. But I think it's going to be a little rockier than people think. If you look back at Bryson's career, even though it's a short career, there's already been a ton of peaks and valleys. This is a guy that's changed his style several times. He came out as an amateur, played great, and then went through a horrible streak where he missed I don't remember, like 8 or 10 cuts in a row, and then all of a sudden snapped out and won. But we've seen him have some really low lows and some really high highs, and I think that's what we're going to continue to see. I think he's going to win multiple tournaments because he's going to have weeks where he just goes out there and things are working and he's bombing that thing out there. Kind of like
and
we
because
saw.
he can putt too, like he's one of the best putters.
Yeah, exactly. And there's going to be weeks that he has everything going, but I don't think the consistency is going to be there. Maybe like some people feel, because his irons aren't there. I think he can have really hot putting weeks, like you said, Chad. But I think the iron play is going to lead to some inconsistencies.
Do you rate a guy like Rory and Rahm and the guys that have just done it top tens every single week? Do you rate that game better? The Rory has argued this in the media and on the interviews before. Is that a better golfer than the guy that wins dead last? Like,
yeah, in my opinion, yes. I would
prefer the Rahm guy.
Yeah, I would take. My opinion, Rory McIlroy is a better golfer than Bryson DeChambeau. But I'm ranking Bryson higher. Just going into this year, we're focusing on this year in a vacuum. But I mean, I think you're going to look back over time, and Rory's going to be proven to be the better player. But I think Bryson's upside is just so massive, and his ability to dominate tournaments is so impressive and worth so much. I mean, he's probably going to have two tournaments this year where he wins in a walk, and it's not even close. So I mean, he's definitely deserving of being at least number 3 for me this year.
Yeah, I've got Bryson at number 2, and I'll go back to my number 3 again. But at number 2 with Bryson is that what is lost on him is how good of a putter he is. The tournaments that he was finishing 1, 2, 3 there for several weeks in a row. What was it, like 8 weeks in a row? He finished top 3. He was like top 3 in putting for the week as well, and that gets lost on him. His iron game is definitely his weakest. But when the guy's hitting at 400 yards and top 3 in putting, I mean, he's going to be tough to beat, period.
Especially on the PGA Tour where it's now like we know it's an advantage.
Absolutely.
Yeah. These layouts are so geared towards, and that's why he's done this, guys. He's smart. I mean, he knows that he averaged over 322 yards off the tee last year. That's the longest in history of the PGA Tour. When he won in Detroit, he averaged 350 off the tee. That's the highest in history for one single tournament. So he's doing this. He's made a concentrated effort to get longer, because like you guys said, that's the game now. That's how you win. That's how you score. That's what these guys are facing almost every week. Not every week, but we're seeing it a ton. That bomb and gouge does work. So yeah, man, Bryson's he's in for a huge year, I'm sure.
Bryson DeChambeau, number 2 on my list. Number 3 on my list was DJ. I know we've already touched on him, but the most important Tiger Woods' best statistic in his heyday was hole proximity, and the only person since that time period to get close to what Tiger Woods was able to do was, well, there's actually been 2: Justin Duff Daddy and Dustin Johnson. So Dustin Johnson, whenever his hole proximity is 4-8 feet better than second place, he's tough to beat, and that's why I said JV DJ is still a top 5 player on tour. So that's my 2.
Yeah, I got DJ at number 2, and you could really make a case that he's number 1.
Yeah.
I hear what Chad's saying about maybe taking a step back. But even if the guy takes a step back, you got to figure he's still going to win a couple tournaments, compete in the majors. His ability to play Augusta National is not going to change. His ability to play in these WGC layouts where he's dominated isn't going to change. Will his attitude change? It never has. Not since he's been on tour. The guy turned pro in 2007, and he's won every single year he's been a pro except for 1 year, and that was when he went away. We won't say where he went away to in 2014. So yeah, so man, I'm huge on DJ. Always been a DJ truther.
I love DJ. Yeah.
He should have more majors. But even if he takes a step back, I still expect a very high level of play from DJ this year.
Yeah. As long as we keep his socks off the hardwood, we're good. Keep socks off the hardwood.
No, I get you. I know what you're saying, and that's why it takes a little bit of a leap of faith to think that way, of that DJ is going to pull the Rory of this year, where Rory was unstoppable, or even Brooks was unstoppable, and we thought, oh my gosh. And then everybody solves golf at one point, and then they disappear for a little bit. So maybe that'll be DJ this year. I think it's easy to predict. I don't know. I think that there's more likelihood that he'll fall back. Obviously that because he was the best golfer almost since the Tiger in the early 2000s this year. So DJ has had great season. Does that continue? I don't know. He's got to continue on an amazing run. So I think the more likelihood is that he does fall back, and that the crown has been waiting for Justin Thomas to take. So I know Tiger wants him to take it. The tour probably does. This is his moment to take it before he does get ruined and gets married and has a kid and lives his life, and then he becomes Ricky Fowler and he gets ruined and he can't do anything anymore and he's speed. But right now, JT 2021, it's your buddy. It's hard to argue against JT, is right.
Yeah, I've got him at number 1. I think just from the law of deduction, we've all got him at number 1, right? Andrew, you got him at 1 too.
Yep, and I'll tell you why after you give your little deal.
Yeah, man, I don't think it takes a lot to figure out. He was so close, and I think in JT's mind, he walked away from 2020 thinking it was a failure of a year because he didn't win a major.
Yeah.
So I feel like he's going to be hungry coming in this year. He ended up first in the PGA Tour in strokes gained tee to green. He was 112th in strokes gained putting, and you have to feel like there's going to be some positive regression in that department. Won 2 times in the calendar year, lost in a playoff. Morikawa stole one from him. Was in the mix multiple times on Sundays coming down the stretch. Continues to improve at Augusta. Had his best career finish there. So yeah, man, like Chad said, it's kind of all just laid out there for him.
Well, I will argue against him. It's his driver that can get away from him. That happens sometimes. Maybe he is a little bit too competitive. He's a little anti-DJ where he cares too much, and that gets in his head because this putter will let him down, and then he reels and he gets mad for a few holes, or he's supposed to get an eagle on a hole and he ends up parring it, and then it ruins him. His mental psyche is a little bit fragile. So yeah. Is it over? Is that enough to bump him down below Bryson, who's mental? No, probably not. Maybe DJ has that brain that's perfect for golf, so he'll.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I mean, I think he brought his driver up, causing him trouble, and I think a lot of people don't remember because of how the tournament ended up. Bryson won it in such dominant fashion, but JT was right there in the U.S. Open, and he had a bizarrely bad third round where he just sprayed his driver everywhere. Didn't seem to be able to hit it square. So yeah, man. I mean, I think there's more issues there than just the putter. But we're talking about a guy tee to green that's just unbelievably excellent. When you watch him play, his iron play is obviously different. Just looking at it, you can tell the guy's an amazing iron player. So I think that's probably the part of his game that's going to take him the farthest. He just needs the putter to cooperate a bit.
Yeah, I think one thing that I see in JT is that he has the Johnny Miller factor, and that Johnny Miller was not afraid of anybody, and Johnny Miller went after every pin, every hole, and so whenever Johnny Miller was on, he won the tournament. Same thing with JT. I could also see the part about possibly mentally getting in the way. Definitely, his putter is his biggest falter. That always has been, But I mean, golly, he's got some serious game.
I think a lot of good golfers struggle with wanting it too much. Like Rory went through this same thing a couple of years ago where he sought out help from a psychologist or whatever to like, what's the meaning of life? And does it really matter what my Wikipedia page says about me? And you have these like come to Jesus's about you're almost 30. What am I doing with my life? I got millions of dollars, but does this really matter? And like, maybe JT is going to have that epiphany this year, or he's on his way there. I think maybe he's ready for that. And so I think others have fought through that and have come out and been great. So he could be amazing. And this is the Ryder Cup year in JT, we know. Can you imagine a Bryson JT versus Rahm and Rory?
Yeah, we thought we were going to get that in the last few years with Brooks and DJ, but that really didn't work out. So
yeah, they're not even friends. Like they're not friends.
yeah, who knows what that whole deal is. So yeah, Ryder Cup year. I'm excited about that. We kind of missed out on that last year. So in saying that, what Chad, who are you looking forward to the most? What tournament are you looking forward to the most of 2021? I mean, we've had a month off. We went, 27, 28 straight weeks of golf. We had a month off. Now we're getting ready to go into about 40 straight weeks of golf. So what tournament are you looking forward to the most coming up, and why?
Well, the fifth major, obviously Minneapolis' own 3M Open. Now this year we are highlighted, folks. We are sandwiched between the Open Championship and the Olympics. So will not be forgotten about. It will be showcased. Obviously. So that's the tournament. It's up the road 30 minutes from my house, and I love it. It's in Blaine, Minnesota. I live in Bloomington. I haven't played the course, but it's pretty course. It's on TV, the TPC Twin Cities, the 3M Open. 3M is a big company here in Minneapolis. We've got some Fortune 500 companies, Best Buy, yeah, some other ones. I'm a little tipsy, but at the same time, we've got some companies here in 3M. They sponsor that thing, and it's a great tournament. It's fun, and hopefully, I'll be able to get out there and actually see it because, COVID. But yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Richie win it with Richie Walensky.
Did he? No, it was that Michael Thompson fella.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, who would forget that?
Wasn't as cool as Matt Wolff this year.
Is that spot on the schedule going to hurt the turnout, Chad?
I don't know, because I'm actually comfortable with the turnout that it gets, because we get the like up and coming guys. We don't have, to cater to these big names and then care about them.
That's the tournament with the reachable par 5 on 18 with the water in front of it.
Yes, sir.
DJ made a 14 on it or something and quit.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, and we remember Joe. We had him like 80% on that week or something.
Yeah, and a couple of years ago, it came down to Morikawa, Bryson, and Wolf. And Wolf made like an 80.
Wolf made that 20-footer from on the fringe. It's beautiful. And Bryson's in the sitting there like, oh, what?
Yeah,
it's great.
So, what are you looking forward to, Joe?
Outside the majors, I mean, obviously the U.S. Open and the Masters is always my number one on my calendar. But outside of those, man, I really love the Heritage at Harbortown. It's just always kind of been a favorite. In Hilton Head, we vacationed over there when I was a kid for several summers, and so man, I just always love the vibe over there. It's real laid back. The course is different than we see anywhere else. So I just always look forward to Harbortown.
I like that one. That's probably the course that Knoxville we know the most about. Just being 5.5 hours away. I'm looking forward to the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines this year, and the reason is that's the only major championship course I've ever played. Played there a few years back, and it's already given us plenty of great finishes just on regular events, seeing good fields there. Plus, who can forget the 2008 U.S. Open and how different it is when majors played versus the regular tour event. So it's a great golf course too. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Who's gonna win? Rahm
jumps to mind.
or Xander?
Rahm jumps to mind just because he's played so well there.
Probably Tony Finau.
Yeah, Xander's not played well there, even though he's from there. He's from San Diego, but I don't think he's ever played well at Torrey.
No, Morikawa will win it.
I told Chad, appreciate it coming over from Fantasy Golf Podcast and the Preferred Lines Podcast. Appreciate.
You can follow us on iTunes or YouTube, and then you can do that on Twitter too at the Fantasy Golf Pod. I'm Edina Rilchie. You can buy a house from me if you're from Minnesota, or you can follow us, weekly, doing those things.
There you go. All right, man. Good talk to you.
Thanks for having me, boys.
Yeah, let's
See
get
you guys.
Let's get it going.
Already hit 3 in the lake. It's gonna dry.